Hello everybody, my name is Marta Pasternak and I'm a master's student of the Wroclaw University of Environmental and Life Sciences. It is a great pleasure to present you today our last research topic connected with temporal variations of optical and radar remote sensing signals of maize and winter wheat studied by Sentinel data. Passive remote sensing signal is widely explored in agricultural applications. Examples of its application might be crop mapping or estimation of various biophysical parameters at various crop phenological stages. Unfortunately, this type of data is not perfect and its use is hampered by their dependence on weather conditions, mostly clouds and sunlight. Solution to this problem might be the application of radar data that is time and weather independent. However, radar data is still not fully investigated in regard to its relation with the development of vegetation. The study area consists of 8 fields in the eastern part of the Lower Silesia province in Poland. We selected 4 maize fields and 4 wheat fields, and their locations are visible in the image at the top right of the slide. To effectively carry out our experiment, we obtained field data, remote sensing data, which included active and passive data, as well as weather data. The field data consists of 14 field visions with photographic documentation. It allowed us to acquire information regarding the species of plants sown and their phenological stages. As a remote sensing data, we obtained Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 freely available images. As for the Sentinel-1 data, we acquired 34 single-look complex images in both polarization. As for Sentinel-2 data, due to weather conditions, we were only able to capture 14 cloud-free images at the L2A processing level at unequal intervals. The weather data was downloaded from the website of Institute of Meteorology and Water Management. It provided us an opportunity to verify whether a given remote sensing signal behavior occurred due to the plant development and if there is some correlation between the remote sensing signal and weather conditions. This graph shows the methodology workflow of the presented experiment. Various bands from Sentinel-2 data were resampled to the highest resolution of 10 meters and then used for calculation of 12 vegetation indices widely used in literature. Radar data processing can be divided into 2 parts. In the first one, we focused on pre-processing, which included image updating with precise orbit information, radiometric calibration, multi-looking, and calculation of backscattering coefficients. The results were converted from the linear to the decibel scale. In the second stage, we used pre-processed data to calculate polarimetric indicator, which included generation of a 2x2 covariance matrix for each star acquisition, application of fully refined filter in a 7x7 pixel window, and finally Shannon entropy calculation. Here is an example of the multi-temporal RGB composition of VH backscattering on the left, as while on the right we can see the multi-temporal RGB composition for Shannon entropy. The differentiation of changes in plants is much more noticeable in the case of Shannon entropy than in VH polarization. Principal component analysis was performed to evaluate the correlation between radar derivatives. Additionally, it allows to compress redundant information. Here we can observe the correlation metrics for Sentinel-1 derivatives. We can observe high correlation between various Shannon entropy components as well as between VH backscattering and VV divided by VH ratio. The results of the calculations are presented in the form of graphs on which the information about the phenological stages of plants obtained during field inspections is also marked. This allowed us to relate the behavior of the indices to the situation that could have been observed in the field. It can be seen that the behavior of some indices differs significantly depending on the plant species studied. Strong correspondence between Shannon entropies can be observed for maize rather than winter wheat. Additionally, Shannon entropy shows higher correlation with phenological stages rather than VH polarization. For comparison, widely applied NDVI index shows a strong correlation between phenological development for both plant species. We have also included overview photos for 3 selected field inspections for one specific field. As can be observed, low value for Shannon entropy is observed for the initial BBCH phenological stages, where bare earth is mostly present in the field. Afterwards, around the phenological stage of 50 BBCH, we can observe high values for all 4 fields. In the end of maize development, phenological stage of 90 BBCH shows a decrease in the values of Shannon entropy. Here, the VH polarization graph is presented in the same way as Shannon entropy to show how big is the difference between these indices. Changes in the values of VH polarization are very mild regardless of phenological phase, which may mean less sensitivity to changes that occur in plants during their development. Here is an example for the first principal component obtained from Sentinel-1 derivatives. It shows a strong correspondence with the phenological stages of maize, while for winter wheat, there are different signal variations which do not correspond to plant development. For a better understanding of the behavior of the indices and PCAs, we also match the results with weather data. Please observe that the first component of PCA increases even though that there are mostly bare earth and after crops that are in the beginning of the development. Therefore, observing weather data, it can be seen that during September and October, a lot of precipitation exists, which could make soil moisture higher and therefore increase the value of the first principal component as well as backscattering index and Shannon entropy. Almost identical situation to the PCA obtained from Sentinel-1 derivatives for winter wheat is visible in the Shannon entropy plot. After comparing it with principal component from spectral data of Sentinel-2, we can clearly see a strong correlation between the development of winter wheat and optical remote sensing signal which cannot be observed in the case of the principal component from Sentinel-1 data. In the present study, the remote sensing signal from Sentinel-1 satellite proved highly effective in correlating the phenological stages of maize, and such strong correlation were not observed for winter wheat. Therefore, more studies need to be focused on various radar remote sensing signal behavior using various species as well as the influence of bare earth and soil moisture. The study also showed the better performance of Shannon entropy rather than backscattering coefficient, especially VH. Thank you for your attention.